It was 2:47 a.m. My husband, Robert, dropped the bomb. I'm at Sophia's house. Pick me up or it's over. I didn't cry. I didn't hesitate. I typed back one word. Over. Then, in the next 60 seconds, I became the most dangerous person Robert knew. I forwarded his exact GPS coordinates, PIN and all, to Sophia's husband, Derek. Robert thought he was giving me an ultimatum. I had just handed a man in Dubai the exact map of the bomb he didn't know was ticking under his own life. The phone rang instantly. It wasn't Robert begging. It was Derek. His voice, steady and ice cold, said, "How long have you known?" Because I just called the cops in Seattle. What happened next destroyed 2 marriages, 2 homes, and 1 man's freedom forever, but he didn't even lose the worst thing he had. Derek called me at 2:48 a.m., straight from Dubai International Airport. His voice was so steady, it messed with my head. "Your husband is at my house with my wife." I told him I'd known about 60 seconds longer than him. That ultimatum was just the official notification. We both knew it had been over for months. 3 weeks before that 2:47 a.m. text, I was sitting next to him at my mom, Susan's house for her famous pot roast. She was going on about how we were couple goals, raising her wine glass to 4 years. Robert squeezed my hand under the table, his palms sweaty with guilt. Every time his phone buzzed, he'd glance down, tapping a reply, but his shoulders were tight, and his laugh at my brother's story was forced and hollow. I was trying so hard to unsee the obvious. Stop for a second. If hearing about this betrayal hits a little too close to home, that feeling of being willfully blind to the obvious, it means you need the story. Don't scroll away. Don't risk going back to denial. If you believe women deserve better than a 2:47 a.m. ultimatum from a straight-up cheating husband, you have to subscribe right now. It costs you $0, but it helps this story reach women who are still in the dark. If you won't subscribe, get in the comments and tell me exactly why you think you're fine without these survival tips. The first clue was a receipt I found doing laundry, a $12,743 charge for moissanite and a Shandon watch, bought late on a Tuesday when he said he was dealing with a server crash at the office. I held that crumpled paper, and the cold recognition hit me before the heartbreak. His whole vibe changed. Our goodbye kiss was a quick lip brush, barely registered. He started showering at night, filling our apartment with cologne that smelled way too intentional for sleep. Then there was the summer picnic at Green Lake Park. Derek introduced his wife, Sophia, calling her his better half without a shred of irony. But when Robert told a story about the Peterson account, Sophia laughed like it was the funniest thing she'd ever heard, her hand landing on his arm and staying there. Later, during volleyball, I caught them sharing a look across the net. Not a glance, a look. The kind that holds secrets. Robert missed the ball completely because he was watching her. Everyone laughed but me. That was the day I stopped looking away. I found a charge for the FitCore gym in Fremont, nowhere near our place, but right by Sophia's neighborhood. And every Peterson account emergency lined up perfectly with Derek's international travel schedule. I was watching my marriage dissolve from our half-empty bed in Seattle, while Derek was watching his from hotel rooms in the Middle East. 2 weeks later, at my sister Amy's wedding, Robert kept ducking out for urgent calls from Peterson. He came back each time with his collar adjusted and a faint smell of perfume that wasn't mine. "We all saw it. Your cousin Beth even pulled me aside and said, 'You deserve better than whatever this is.' If you've ever stayed in a relationship that made you feel crazy, you know this gut punch moment. Don't ignore the warning signs in your own life. Subscribe right now to fortify your life against future betrayals, or type 'I'm fine' in the comments and watch as your intuition screams at you. It's not about me. It's about you finally facing the truth." The denial broke the night I came home early from book club. Our apartment was glowing when it shouldn't have been. I walked in on Robert slamming his laptop shut. He claimed he was on a video chat with his friend George, planning my birthday, which was 4 months away. But there were 2 wine glasses on the coffee table, one quickly stashed behind magazines, and a burning candle that smelled like jasmine and vanilla. I looked at the wine bottle on the kitchen counter. "George drinks beer," I said quietly. "He's trying to be more sophisticated," Robert mumbled back. The next morning, I found that fancy candle wrapped in newspaper, tossed in the bathroom trash. Thanksgiving arrived like a final test. Robert texted 2 hours late. "Running late. Start without me." My mother's dining room table was set for 8, and his empty chair screamed his absence. At 7:15 p.m., the next text. Sophia's car broke down, helping her get to a mechanic. Don't wait up. On Thanksgiving, when every mechanic in Seattle is closed and her husband is thousands of miles away, my father, Harold, just set down his fork. He didn't say anything, but his silence was deafening. The anxiety finally sent me to Dr. Martinez. My blood pressure was through the roof. I told her everything, the late nights, the Fremont gym, the way Robert looked through me. She wrote me 2 prescriptions, one for anxiety meds, the other? A referral to a therapist and a stack of pamphlets, recognizing emotional abuse, gaslighting in relationships. Dr. Martinez told me, medication can't fix a relationship that's causing you harm. Taking care of your mental health isn't admitting failure, it's choosing survival. If you are putting your own health at risk for someone who doesn't even notice you, you need to hear this. Your therapist is waiting. Stop making excuses for the person who is making you sick. Prove to yourself you choose survival by subscribing right now, or confess in the comments why you think your own pain isn't a good enough reason to make a change. The final public humiliation was the corporate Christmas party in a downtown Fairmont ballroom. I wore a red dress he didn't even notice. I walked in and spotted them immediately, Robert and Sophia by the dessert table. They weren't even trying to hide it anymore. During the slow songs, they were on the dance floor for everyone, his hand too low on her back, her head buried in his shoulder. My coworker, Janet, squeezed my arm. The whole office knows, right? We've all been wondering when you'd finally be done with his garbage. That night, I went home alone and made a decision. If this marriage was going to end, it would be on my terms. The Wednesday after Christmas, I was in Victoria Lawson's law office on the 17th floor of a glass tower downtown. I pulled out my phone, a folder full of receipts, screenshots, a spreadsheet tracking his emergencies against Derek's travel. Victoria looked at me and said, "Christina, you've been smart, smarter than most clients." She gave me a list of tasks, each one a small act of revolution. Open my own bank account, secure documents, install security cameras. The elevator ride down felt like a descent into battle, but I was finally armed. The next morning, I walked into a Chase Bank in Ballard, far from our usual routes. The specialist, Amy, quietly transferred exactly half our joint savings, $11,200, into a new account. I walked out and felt a rush. It felt like my first breath after being underwater. You know that feeling? The fear of being left with nothing? Of having your financial future hijacked by a narcissist? That money I secured was my ticket out, my freedom fund. If you haven't taken steps to protect yourself, this is your wake-up call. You will regret not hitting that subscribe button when you need this information most. Right now, hit subscribe and let the world know you will not be a victim. If you won't, comment with "I'm stuck" and be honest about the fear holding you captive. The security cameras arrived via Amazon 2 days later. While Robert was at his Fremont gym, I installed them. One in the living room, one in the kitchen, one hidden in my bookshelf. 4 feeds on my phone, watching our apartment from every angle. It was no longer our space, it was my surveillance zone. The first footage I caught, Robert packing an overnight bag at 3:00 p.m. when he was supposedly in back-to-back meetings. The gray sweater I bought him, the expensive cologne, all for her. My allies came out of the woodwork. Janet from accounting forwarded his expense reports, dinner for 2, hotel charges during lunch hours, Ubers to Fremont. Marcus, our doorman, casually mentioned, "Your husband left pretty early this morning, around 5:00 a.m. Hope that work emergency is okay." Even Patricia from the coffee shop downstairs told me, "He used to come in every morning, haven't seen him in months. Now he gets coffee in Fremont." I was ready. The war hadn't been declared, but I was fully armed. New Year's Eve, Robert kissed my forehead, that dry, distant touch, and left for his friend George's party. George was actually in Tahoe. Midnight came and went. No text, no kiss. At 12:47 a.m., I opened the digital folder of our wedding photos, titled Forever, and I started hitting delete. Our beach ceremony, our first dance, his mother crying, my father's proud smile, all of it erased with clinical precision. Each deleted photo felt like a surgery without. You watched until the end because you're invested in justice, but more importantly, you're terrified of being that person, the one who doesn't get their freedom. Don't let this story be just a video. Let it be the blueprint for your liberation. You have to subscribe and hit that notification bell now to lock in your mindset of choosing survival. If you leave without subscribing, I promise you'll regret missing the next step in this story of triumph. Those of you who won't subscribe, tell the rest of us in the comments what excuse you are using to stay stuck. We all need to read your lament. By morning, Robert was on my doorstep, teary, desperate, homeless. I hadn't lifted a finger to orchestrate it. Truth has its own momentum. I would never again wake up at 2:47 a.m. to someone else's crisis dressed as my responsibility. That specific time is now sacred in reverse. Peace tastes better than revenge because it's permanent. Revenge is a meal you consume once, but peace is a home you inhabit forever. And at 2:47 a.m., I sleep deeply, completely, finally free. My favorite part was when Olivia simply replied, "It's over then," and forwarded Robert's location to Derek in Dubai. What was your favorite moment of justice? Drop it in the comments below. Don't miss more thrilling stories like this. Subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss new uploads.